Bhajibhege Dhammapada Jekembe Bhareju Bharachebadam Jegizo Jebe Amanam Kadanyam Desem Jentam Jedevadam and thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Page 3. All sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in the glorious kind Lama Vajradhara, the embodiment of the body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities of the Buddhas of the 10 directions and the 3 times, source of the 84,000 categories of the teaching, and Lord of the Sanghas. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Namge Dada Yambe Semchen Tamje Choje De Samge Nde Chen Pa Tam Jege Go Song Kyo Yonden Kene Tam Jege Ngowar Gerba Jege Saje Jone Babe Gende Tam Jege Nada and Jen Sawadan Girvar Jebe Balde Lama Damba Namla Kyamse Jevo Yedam Kirkor Gilazo Namla Sanje Shonen Nama Gyamse Jeo Dambe Namla Gyamse Jeo Babe Namla Gyamse Jeo Pawa Kano Shogyam Sume So Page 4. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Sang Sanje Nama Kyab Suje Jang Jangju Sembaye Tonan Deshen Kyab Suje Jilan Monje Desheke Jangju Tune Kibadang Jangju Sembe Labala Deda Rinjen Ebagar Dejen Rola Bendande Jangju Semne Gegeshing Dejen Dene Labala Remba Shendu Labargeho. Page 5. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sanje Chinam Soge Chonam Lai Changche Barde Dagni Kyamse Dagni Jinso Gibe Sonam Ge Rola Benje Sanje Druvajo. May all mothers, sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Namje Dewana Dewe Girang Dembar Girje Dugadang Dugagi Girang Dewar Girje Dugamebe Dewana Midewar Girje Jadang Nidang Dewe Tanyong Nebar Girje Baja Samada Baja Samada Baja Samada. Just in English. So now we'll just do in English. Refuge of all sentient beings without exception, divine subjugator of terrifying Maras, together with their hosts of demons, the one who understands all realities without exception exactly as they are, transcend and conquer, together with your disciples, please come here to this place. Page 7. The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the 4 continents, and the sun and moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. And then on page 11, is that right? Namo, to the Lama of utterly pure appearance and existence, I offer the fundamental ground of appearance and existence. I supplicate you to thoroughly liberate the 3 realms. Please grant your blessings and overturn the depths of samsara. Sublime Master, wish-fulfilling jewel, crown ornament, the inconceivable, inexpressible mind of the victorious ones, the one endowed with the five wisdoms of omniscience, gracious one, the embodiment of love, precious protector of beings, I supplicate you from within the essence of mind. Please grant your blessings from within the innate nature. Please bless me that I may realize the Dharmakaya that is beyond intellect, this primordially unborn, completely pure mind. Transcendent conqueror, the one thus gone, foe destroyer of afflictive emotions, completely perfected Buddha, endowed with logic and virtue, the one gone to bliss, knower of the world, captain, tamer of beings, the unexcelled teacher of gods and men, I respectfully prostrate, completely touching my head to the stainless feet of the unequaled Shakya king. At the time of your birth, leader of two-legged beings, taking 7 steps on this great earth, you proclaimed, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise even then, I prostrate. Possessing a body of complete purity, your sublime form is excellent. An ocean of primordial wisdom, you are like a golden mountain, the one whose renown is evident throughout the 3 worlds, protector of supreme attainment. To you I prostrate. To you who are endowed with the supreme marks, whose face is like an immaculate moon, to you, the one with a complexion like gold, I prostrate. A flawless one such as you among the 3 levels of existence is most exquisite. Unparalleled omniscient one, to you I prostrate. Supreme among humans, captain of those to be tamed, the one thus gone who severs the all-binding fetters, who with senses pacified is utterly pacified and skilled in peace. To that one, the one who dwelled at Sravasti, I prostrate. Refuge endowed with great compassion, totally omniscient one who indicates the way, ground basis for oceans of merit and qualities, I prostrate to the one thus gone. The pure cause free from attachments, the virtue that liberates from the lower realms, the altogether supreme ultimate truth, to the pacifying Dharma I prostrate. Having been liberated, they also reveal the path to liberation. Thoroughly respectful of the 3 higher trainings, they are a field of sublime qualities. To the Sangha I also prostrate. And then flip to page 15. I prostrate to the youthful Manjushri, to those in the worlds of the 10 directions, however many there are, all the lions among humans who appear during the 3 times, to all of them without exception, I pay homage with respectful body, speech, and mind. The force of my aspiration prayer for excellent conduct brings all the victorious ones directly to mind. Bowing down with bodies as numerous as atoms in the realms, I prostrate to all the victorious ones. In a single atom, there are Buddhas as numerous as atoms, each residing in the midst of their sons and daughters. Like that, I imagine the whole Dharmadhatu completely filled with victorious ones. To those with oceans of inexhaustible, praiseworthy qualities, with sounds containing oceans of tones of melodic speech, I express the qualities of all the victorious ones. I praise all the Sugatas, with the finest flowers, the finest garlands, music, ointments, supreme parasols, supreme lamps, and the finest incense. I make offerings to those victorious ones, with the fine cloth, supreme scents, and fine powders equal to Mount Meru, all displayed in supreme and magnificent ways. I make offerings to those victorious ones. With vast and unsurpassable offerings, I venerate all the victorious ones. Through the power of faith and excellent conduct, I prostrate and offer to the victorious ones. Whatever negative actions I have performed with body, speech, and also mind, overpowered by desire, aggression, and stupidity, I confess each and every one of them. I rejoice in everyone's merit, the victorious ones of the 10 directions, the bodhisattvas, the Pratyeka Buddhas, those in training, those beyond training, and all beings. I request the protectors, the lamps of the worlds of the 10 directions, who passing through the stages of awakening, attain Buddhahood beyond attachment, to turn the unsurpassable Dharma wheel. I supplicate with my palms joined together, those who intend to demonstrate nirvana, to remain for kalpas as numerous as atoms in the realms, for the welfare and happiness of all beings. I dedicate whatever slight virtue is accumulated through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and supplicating to enlightenment. And then page 16. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the 2 vehicles and their combination according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
Okay. Good morning.
Morning.
Trying to tap me, so you take them off.
Okay.
Okay. Children, Loma Jawanda, Inji, Chulago, children, Chivi, Kanene, Chula Lamja Tajame. And then the Rani Lengti, Northern Beijing keep up. Chamasaging, near me, but touring of his Sato. Joel was 2 net say, Sibanyor, Injajabo County, some Loba Chumidi, Chula Lamja Tajam. And then Rani Lengti, Northern Beijing keep up. Chamasaging, near me, but Chinchi, Jagan Chinchi, Jaga Niman yours. Yeah.
So Chatham. So picking up where we left off last week, this is the chapter of defilement. So if you have the orange book, it's on page 120. You are like a yellow leaf. The minions of the Lord of Death await you. You stand in the jaws of death with no provisions for your journey. Make yourself an island. Quickly become vigorous and wise. Clear away your impurities and faults, and you will reach the heavens of the saints. Now your time has run out, and soon you will meet the Lord of Death. There are no havens on this journey, and you have no provisions on the road. Make yourself an island, quickly become vigorous and wise, clear away your impurities and faults, and no longer be subject to birth and old age.
그다 쇼다 고스마 쇼 그다 통보 들어와 근데 추는 너무 좋은다 인지지 추라고 추는 치위 칸네 추라 남자 타좀 미스
Okay, so to read the first verse again, you are like a yellow leaf. The minions of the Lord of Death await you. You stand in the jaws of death with no provisions for your journey.
다디 가르스나 조 가르스나 가서 다 초현실이비 엔다오레 소다 배는 가서 배는 행동 그랬더니 지 다 텐다오레 다 배는 행게 지 로마스로 차잖아 보다 젠도고 봐 뭔가 랩 차르다 그럼 윈도우 랩고 봐 not only Florida but 어디가 나이다 기타 히아텔라
You mean not really in Florida? Yeah.
테네 그 히아라 베면서 타니오 휴레스라고다.
So this example of our impending death, which is quickly approaching, is this very evocative image of a leaf, a yellow leaf. You know, a leaf that is turned yellow is just very quickly going to fall. You know, when winter is approaching in the fall, maybe so much not so common in Florida, but this image then it kind of brings home the reality of how close we really are to the time of death. So it means like the Lord of Death is right next to you. The minions of the Lord of Death. And so we all know the reality of death, but we kind of don't really, we don't feel too worried about it. And it's not that we need to be worried about it. But we want to be prepared. Because the truth of this example is really apt, because it really doesn't matter, you know, whether we're young, whether we're old. Really, life is not very long. We won't live a very long time. It's just nature. But what do we need to do to prepare? And so the way to prepare is first and foremost by making time for that, making time for the preparation. When we think about all the things that we try to do in this life, everything that needs to be done, everything we wish to accomplish, like we need to do this, we need to do that, and we can't do it all in this life. So we have to elect what is really most important. We have to give priority to what is most important. And so first we have to choose, you know, where the majority of our focus goes. And then secondly, we have to set aside time for it. We have to make time for it.
This lady,
So, for instance, in our lineage, the Drikung Kagyu lineage, the head of our lineage, the current head of our lineage being Drikung Chamgun Chetsang Rinpoche. And so if we think about it, sometimes there's this attitude of like, oh, you know, he's really important. He's like the boss. Yeah, just like that. Okay.
No.
This boss. Oh, and so he probably enjoys himself, and he's probably very relaxed and, you know, very well taken care of.
But
it's not that way, actually. He probably retires, you know, to bed at like 10 or 11, and he gets up at 2 in the morning. He has so many hundreds and hundreds of responsibilities, and all day he has various activities that he attends to. So he'll, for instance, during the day, during like a certain part of the day, he will receive audiences or meet people. Kong de suyena kong yamdu lega lena. Yeah. Rules, right? No. Oh, team. That's English. Yeah. Okay, I thought you were saying trim.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
the people who work with him, the attendants, the assistants, those who are assisting him, they work in group and teams of 3. So sorry, not groups of 3, but 3 groups of people, and our 3 teams. And so they work, one team works until 8.
That's for example.
For example, until 10 at night.
So this one team, like for instance, like maybe evening or after the dinner. So 7 to 10.
7 to 10.
Right. And then he's wake up. The 3 is one team. So that person cannot do like different group or different team, right? So then maybe 2 to like 6 or morning. And then one team like that daytime. So that's much he works.
But he keeps going.
Very important to the waste time.
Very important to not waste time. Is that what I said? Okay.
제가 나이 그냥 돼요. somebody can't go to 양코 두루자 세나가다 베남닌 세밀이야. 요즘만 이나코 두주지 베나 예고고 니코고나 고 니코고로 가. 니코고야 두주지 니코고데. 얘네 양코 딜라지 가세고 딱니 코고 선배고 둔반도 같은데 매월라 고투수 니 디스코비나 그니기 이남도 차고 그래서와 이는 가시다가 니 야부코 구요 내소야 자고 요산나 근데 니 야보야 그야에서 말이 내소야 그야에서 말이
So it isn't like that we need to work like necessarily, you know, that this to follow this example of say like working day and night but we need to make time, we need to organize our activities like according to it sounds like he's saying like a schedule to make time for specific activities. So for instance, we should make the time when we sleep, and when we sleep, we should sleep, at like designate that time for sleep so that, it's sufficient. We need to sleep well. But we also kind of just do it to maintain and take care of the body, and without too much attachment, it sounds like he's saying, to the sleep. Because sometimes there's like this idea of like, oh, I really need to sleep. I really want to sleep. I need to rest. I really need to get rest. And when there is that kind of preoccupation about getting enough sleep, it actually makes it very hard to sleep.
Right. So this kind of naturally, I think, a little bit maybe different, but I don't know the science says 8 hours or 6 hours. But I'm not sure. So that's but I think like maybe 6 hours, I think enough. Time to sleep, so that's necessary. But same time, I say, oh, I need more sleeping, or I need rest. So that, if have that kind of attitude, then really not get the rest. Even though you go, maybe you feel sleeping, but still you not rest.
So it's when, sort of to paraphrase a little bit here, because it sounds like what he's really talking about is the attachment. Like when there's the attachment to the sleep, like if our motivation for sleeping is like, I need to sleep for the body, I need to rest, I really need to rest. And there's kind of that grasping to the sleep. Even if we sleep, he said, actually, the rest doesn't go that deep. Because of the attitude.
Because this not natural. So naturally, you can naturally work. And then when you go just sleeping, that's it. So just no need expecting why I need to go to good sleeping and good rest. So this kind of like really the discussion, so for whatever rest, for sleeping. Tindi that Jatan Tindi Kota Leka di Tigana Tanga Leka Lea di Lego Yoris, Leka Lene, Matu Sukundla, Dodun Budoya, Yomaris, Kotundu Kasi Zombina, Tetsam Yiku, Nipa Chiri Tongo Yoris.
So he said, and in general, we also have to work. We have to work hard. And we might think that, if we don't want to if we work too hard, that this is bad for us, that this is bad for the body. But actually, however hard we work, however much diligence we have, that actually brings fortitude. It brings energy to the body. So however much we can work, we should work.
Party don't you want to Jervin Juni say at the men upon the Atia Lomain Hakumas and Jervin say at Jervin Juni. Teaching Dotine Con Talama Peche Adia in the Colami Shapchi or Shapchi Morris.
So there was a disciple of Atisha, Tong Yahweh Jumne, and he was one of Atisha's attendants.
That Karchi or Lamnatine, Kikavla Karsena Takot, Tandeli cut this Davio Marwa, the Neko Mazutin, and the entire Zambaso.
And so he had a lot of activities that were very different from like the activities that we have now. And one of those activities was to make sampa. Yeah.
So grander. So these days like machine, but before like big stone, like this big, and hander, then like one hand push the center the hole, and then just all like this.
So they called a mill. Yeah.
So he doing that, and then also he make the butter. So butter, so these two ways make the butter. One is for the shang,
Churn, yes.
And one is the like bag, you know, like bag. Like balloon, you know, like bag.
A balloon.
So that's how to shake. Like. So then he just put the bag, like shake.
Just both at the same time.
Right. And then also make the leather. So this make the leather that time is like squeeze the hand, the feet, like hold on this way, that way, just squeeze. So he doing that. So same time, this three. And he just started text.
So with his feet, he was kneading the leather. What is it called? Curing or doing something to soften the leather. Yeah.
Right. So, so because that is okay. Kali thambo bernese jinda ne tha tene ti hugla tene Mars so tene leather so tene pecha dana tene tusu hansang go.
Didn't Pecha Tagure La Yimbe? Oh, okay. And he said at the same time he's looking at the text, right? He's reading the text, studying. So we think of all these things as being something. This is like the kind of supreme example of multitasking. But we think, we have to make a different separate time for each of these things. But he was churning the butter and milling the sampa. Is that what was in the bag? Yeah. And what is in the bag? The butter is in the bag. Okay. So his hands are with the sampa. His feet are doing whatever is done with the leather. And then he's reading the text at the same time, studying the text.
So also this one time the Pachung room was very famous. So he was so that time is dark. They don't have the light, you know, or even though this very difficult to find the candle, you know, the butter lamp. So he studied in the moon, you know. So
in
they
the
depend
moonlight.
Like this like mountain very steep. So then this moon is, you know, like goes way to the what is west, right? So he just go up into up, just all the way just study, and then the moon goes up. Then he just walk up, so up complete up to the mountain. Then they said become like mountain. So you know that is all cool, Karsana. But the
point of these examples is to demonstrate, you know, kind of what this is, the kind of urgency or sort of dedication to using time wisely, understanding how important this life is and how limited time is, how limited our time is.
Tindiko or Dubo Imbanda Ojek, some tango with Samarwa, in a yanko afford Kachi Gorsina, not west the town this.
And so, you know, being aware or mindful of the fact that we will die soon is it's not like something that's bad. It's not to become, you know, for the purpose of feeling afraid or frightened, but it's really to be aware so that we use our time wisely, so that we don't waste time and that we make effort, you know, in apply ourselves in what is truly meaningful, knowing that our time is really limited.
Okay, so that makes sense. That equity is that a percent of this. Tini Rani link to Northern Beijing capable to Mazio Ihiji, what that Tirana Tanatera, Tini Indu, Tini, Mazotani Kunshua Chivina, then Tori Papi progress. Second.
And so understanding that, then the next line, diniti ling rang ling imbati.
rani leng to chi static na so del dubya yore la leng del dubya yore is de la in lengs na misen di na te ya ko shi
oh dilla yang de rang la wimbar ne gi de da ro sare
oda kanda te en ban ne ke chamo ka sa ta chu chi go go ka wa ni ma ko oda chu chi go re la ta nga sta la na yi wa de wa do na te ne yang ko ta na shi so na yi ko be du bo te ni chu yo ma is.
So then the next line is it says, make of yourself an island, meaning like to really apply yourself and practice and quickly become vigorous and wise, clear away your impurities and faults, and you will reach the heavens of the saints. So this is through understanding then this cultivating or bringing up this sense of urgency and then really practicing with vigor and being, becoming wise, then this was what will lead you to, as it says here, the heavens of the state of the saints, or the
liberation.
But really, what is meant is like to liberation and awakening. And so this is the same type of thing. The next verse, which is, now your time has run out and soon you will meet the Lord of death. There are no havens on this journey and you have no provisions on the road.
Maybe last one.
And so then the last line of make yourself an island, quickly become vigorous and wise, clear away your impurities and faults, and no longer be subject to birth and old age. So if on the other hand there is laziness, or if we're sort of if there's complacency, let's use that instead of the word lazy. If we become complacent and we don't have that sense of urgency, then thinking, later on, I'll do it later, or say Jimala Chegiana.
Like what I little chicky, Matilote, Casa, delayed chair.
Didn't it say Jamagi for like, or if we think, or I'll like next life, I'll do it later, I'll do it in my next life, then we will lose this precious opportunity.
Okay, then Ramji, Junzi Tang, Kepa Geje King, Garwai, Yin, Mushi, Rankatama watch us.
So then the next verse is, little by little, by stages, moment by moment, the wise man clears away his faults as a smith removes the dross from the silver.
Yawachi say imaginary Megeva Pansevinary Kunimache, Rombo, your marriage. Tinko Kale Kalichiku, Rembahi.
And so there's the necessity of having a sense of urgency, but also patience. So understanding that it won't be instantaneous, that we can't, even if we think, okay, I wish to purify my defilements, I wish to abandon non-virtue, it is not feasible to just kind of immediately become completely purified or immediately change our conduct so that it becomes impeccable. But it's something that little by little, through consistent dedication and practice, happens over time, as is said here.
So, like for example, first they make silver plate, right? So silver plate. So maybe just first they have silver ball, solid silver. So then they slowly hammering, make each hammering like bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, then slowly become the plate. So this not like cannot make one thing, just one hammering and make that become plate, silver plate, not like that. So same way, so continuation to practice, I think. And next one.
And the next verse is, just as iron is eaten away by the rust it produces, so do your own wrong actions lead you to destruction. So this is really a wonderful example here of iron being eaten away by the rust that it itself produces. So it is actually it works this way, kind of this automatic. And that the deeds automatically create, or the causes automatically kind of bring about the result or become the result. So it's whether it is in the case of virtue or non-virtue, it's the same. So for instance, with virtue, then the more wholesome and virtuous deeds that are accumulated, then that kind of automatically results in progressing further and further on the path to liberation and awakening. And then it's the same with negativity and non-virtue, that automatically carries one down to the lower realms.
So one hand there was
Yeah. And if you think about metal, like metal or iron, sorry, or any, whether it's metal or iron, it's very, very hard substance to start out with. Nothing's right? Very strong. You can't break it. It's like the strongest of substances, like in the material world, that's like the strongest, or metal or iron. And that's like actually this precious human birth with the leisures and endowments has that same, like, is strong, fully really strong or powerful like that, because you can do anything with a human birth. The human birth with leisures and endowments has the potential to accomplish which is like most difficult, which is bringing us to the state of liberation and Buddhahood, the awakening of Buddhahood.
That can be
but something that's so hard and seemingly indestructible, if it is left in a situation where it can become rusty, then that rust can eat away at it and it can crumble. It can become incredibly weak and lose all of its power.
That precious human life
and it's the same with this kind of incredibly powerful potential of the human life. If we let it, if we kind of neglect our virtue and kind of developing the integrity and ethical integrity, then we can end up really destroying the power of that precious human life. It can be rendered powerless. It can actually instead be something that leads to the lower realms.
tela karisena gunla jati yabo mod yela jaya yabo nyargo bres
Yela?
yela irkaro
Yarka.
ne gunla ya za nyargo bres za hoso yabo
Oh, the clay?
clay pot.
Okay. So there's a saying.
Tunam dado sapodo. Tela kaya bo nyargo bres.
So there's a saying in Tibetan that is in the summer you need to like take good care of metal or iron, and in the winter you need to take good care of like your pottery or clay, and at all times you need to take good care of your mouth, or like so a guard essentially your mouth. Yeah.
Interesting, metal. So metal is like a very stone, but get water immediately that change it. Doesn't matter you use whatever your tools new or old, doesn't matter, just you get water, that's it. So the same way, so when we really try to, difficult, but no afflict emotions, but really aware, afflict emotions. When you got arise afflict emotions, try to stop, don't follow. Very important. In a nyong ba cheke, then a nyong ba cheke na. The tissue la kojik. Tini penatani contuba na gire. Pena cha yabo jekana. Water drop jechana. Let's have a course. Rest chagor. Tena yeke. King to nyong ba chek chimbo jik. Jibina. Tini tissue la tini sama surrounded. Nyong ba chami tini all on course is.
And so,
difficulty.
And so we really have to guard, from the afflictive emotions and the actions based on the afflictive emotions, because it's kind of like this example of the metal. You can have a really good quality metal or iron, and then like one drop of water kind of falls on it and sort of sets in, and then that can end up like leading to a situation of rust. And then on the other hand, like even just one sort of seemingly harmless afflicted mind state it's like once. So like if an afflictive emotion arises, then even if that afflictive emotion isn't very strong, there are like a lot of other afflictive emotions surrounding it, like just waiting to kind of get in. And so one ends up kind of multiplying and leading to others. Yeah. So like it's not just, there's no. So it's so it's never just an isolated affliction. It's never just one. They're all kind of there together. And so like, for instance, if you become angry, then together with the anger, like whatever the condition is that you then becomes the cause of the anger, then also leads to thoughts that then cause jealousy to arise or competitiveness to arise or all sorts of other afflicted mind states to arise. And before you know it, you've lost any kind of feeling of compassion and bodhicitta. And
expecting
And attachment, desire and attachment, if we are really attached to something, then automatically with that desire, even though it may not be evident at first, there also is anger there together with it. Because the moment that we have desire and attachment, there's a lot of expectation. So we're expecting that thing to deliver to us and give us happiness. And if it doesn't, then it becomes anger. And it leads to, in general, this also then serves to kind of fortify the 8 worldly concerns. And it will disappoint because there is no way that an affliction actually results in happiness. So if there is an affliction that is motivating, that is the motivating cause, the result of that can never be authentic happiness.
Like also this both, short term and long term. So interesting, the particular attachment is seems to be, attached to something. Then I get something, or maybe I become happy, or whatever they're expecting, But the based on the, attachment, so this result is never become, happy. So because of these afflictive emotions.
Because that's just the nature of afflictive emotions.
However,
And however, there's no way we're not going to have afflictions, that we're not going to give rise to afflictive emotions. However, so we really have no choice about that. However, what is really important is that we have mindfulness, that we strengthen the degree of our mindful awareness so that we are aware when the afflictions arise, we are mindful of them.
Individual, this manda courage. Individual they could not live long, but you are really need to working on.
And sorry, I'm getting excited and wanting to speak before he finishes. And so especially also whatever is the strong, we have to identify what affliction is a stronger propensity for us. And that's the one that we really have to work with. We have to sort of treat that also a little bit differently from the others and really put our effort into working with that particular propensity.
니마지 상마매와 소토고요 말와 개미리 다 가르 워스 가리 이슈 가르치요나 디가나 포가스 지고 요리스 이는 용 상마고 매와 소토 말와
공다
용바 상마 냅질라 차상지 지 매와 소토고요 말이스 이나 디나나다 individual 코란 용바 가리 지 지나나 깔리 가서 가리 요나 들 포가스 지고 요리스.
So pretty much the same thing. We can't expect to get rid of afflictive emotions all at once. We also can't expect to get rid of all of them, So the main thing is to focus on that which is the biggest issue for us, that which is the strongest propensity, and really make it a practice to work on that, to diminish its power.
Okay, so so that lawyer work. The lawyer somebody tanda. Jale tane rap the down your king, tell law charwa, jat. Hotel that sugar may be not jite. Taze may be changed to Lelo Jim Timade, Dhammapada song with us. We Tema Junior Day, Jinda Tema Senai, Jiganda Handamos. The Pichu Temami, Tema Lejan, Tema De, Tema Tahi Mareba, Tema De Rabami, to me, though, you get us.
So then the next verse says, lack of proper ritual is a flaw in mantra. Lack of plaster is a flaw in a house. Laziness is a flaw in a family. Carelessness is a flaw in a guard. Misconduct is a flaw in women. Greed is a flaw in a donor. Impure teachings are a flaw in both this world and the next. But ignorance is worse than these. It is the worst of all faults. O monks, if you get rid of ignorance, you become free of all the rest.
That's all Casanat, Samala, Mareba, Telatene, for that you can control and that you are. You must know what you know, to give what is.
So it is what is essentially being said here is really identifying how ignorance is really at the root of all faults. And so as was, he mentioned before, in the same way that you have, like if you have one affliction, it's not just one affliction. Because of ignorance, then it actually becomes like this proliferating mass of many afflictions. And what is at the root of that is unawareness.
That can give me a lot of benefit. Young one, which that been sand of which not to be legal. Tango winner, Chancholing Tombo, ya Jaggy or Tombo and Jaggy Tomala, young one which for a culture your love. Sometimes colors will be ordered. Attachment to what you ordered. Tagana ye get that, she organized that you or Tagana ye, Leka Levy or Leka Salia, Dolea, Leka Levy or 제가 나기 때문에 럽센트기 어려워.
Yeah. Wow. So, also again, just thinking about the example of His Holiness Changden Chetsang Rinpoche, and when he was building the monastery in India, Jangtu Bling, he really did everything in the beginning. Sometimes he would prepare the food, he would look after the young monks, he would work together with all of the monks to build the monastery, like moving stone and earth and so forth. Sometimes there wouldn't be other people available, so he would teach the classes he would actually teach the young monks in the classes.
That is when shoki dawina shoki chusuta hiwa ngawando yekarawa tiga tune much ponretine and the chita some jot the kinetine do your destination samata yungruwa yunguris.
And so sometimes some gear
sometimes not sometimes like Holiness we before the monastery construction so like every morning he just like 4 maybe 5 o'clock so he just bring the shovels and pokes then so then all the monks so they just clean up moving the rocks so I was there I come to Changchop Lane so I can't remind me here too so this completely piles of dirt, piles of the sand, piles of the concrete, the metals, the woods, just I think you guys saw the Changchop Lane, these days not like that. So then actually this removing the dirt and everything Changchop Lane is courtyard. So we did completely level up like That times we hear this missions, you know, they don't have the mission at all. Everything
It's a
is,
big courtyard.
Everything's here. So this ridiculous courtyard, I think maybe probably 4 feet. All the leveling we move the dirt. So then the other side is right now is with the flat and people live there now. But that time is just all the bush, you know. So bush is this interesting. I found it is after the rainy season, during the rainy season. So before very hard, you know, rainy season, one bush ground is very, very hard. You know, like rocks, not really like sticky mud, but rock, mostly rocks compact, small rocks. But then the soil, so then we first start like kind of impossible, completely other side. So then the summer, the rainy season time. So to my area, I just pushed this rope tied up like
Rope.
Yeah, like
Rope.
maybe 10 feet bush and tied up like maybe 10 months this way, 10 months this way, tied up. Then these two put together and they pour 20 months. Then just we uproot everything. Very easy. Otherwise, first we tie like dickens, particularly not rainy season. That does clean up. It's very difficult. Also, no road that time. So the Lama is coming and like prepare, like working day and night. So. Okay, so 看也把我马拉汤、头球健汤、几多健、姑娘健健，错话的我在那边错了是。大的张忙球话汤，江米卡上米巴汤，他边错话拉肚边，我在见了，搞完错事。
So the next two verses are: life is easy for the shameless, for the boastful and the debased, for the vicious and the foul-mouthed, living in corruption. But life is difficult for the principled, who wish to live simply, for the quiet and the faultless, those who seek to live purely.
That's all it is. 강중망중 라비아타 양가시 고미 신기요 마바위 마드네 베로 동야고요 제이미세야 근데베지 텔라비아타 디스코 테 야고 말에 송.
So yeah, this is like basically saying, you know, it's not it's not great to be really boastful and also to be really kind of like just to speak sort of carelessly, saying all sorts of things, you know, or being kind of shameless, to be arrogant, saying, oh, I know this, I know that, and to kind of be boastful. So that's not good. Kande? So to behave in a way that is debased means like doing all sorts of negative things. So it's different, you know, here there's this emphasis on, you know, being like kind of advertising what you know, but actually it's when you know something, like to actually not say that you know it is actually the better course.
So this different, I don't know, this custom and tradition. So I don't know this or Buddhism or I'm not sure Tibet style. So no matter their knowledge and smart. So there's something scholar, right? Scholar. So that person, they never say, I know. Even though someone asks for something specific things, he knows 100%. You know these ones, then maybe I try. I think. So that's 100%, they know. So the zo concentrate nga seya telema ku kadune kepa ina te nga dia mando wa this ka de wa rana ka go mu ka go ma wa rana ka ya ki ta ki ji sa res ta nge hin gu la de ne ko this chi ku nga seya this chimo cha cha yo wa.
And this is also not just like false humility, because it really is like, a practice that is based on diminishing the I, like just bringing the I down, there's the ego. So, when instead of thinking, oh, I know this or I've mastered this, and then, this practice of not being boastful or arrogant is a practice to also like rein in that kind of identification with the I. And so it's an effort to actually block the self-importance. And so once there's the, oh, I know this, whether it's said to others or it's just kind of thought, then that reinforces that kind of self-identification.
Nga hilama ka hilama gera chimbo to zotni koran saja himba lan do du tene ngone china o saja himba o nga ta saja tende je nga la ma chimbo re nga je re here is lab go ro tende malab chin tin ko khaya ji pango sutan do chin tin do yo sarwa ko saja himba no na.
So it used to be, that in the old days, some of the greatest lamas, yogis and practitioners, they would not kind of, and now, these days it's a little different, but they wouldn't kind of present themselves as a big important lama when they, went places. In fact, many would actually dress up as a beggar and just become like a kind of anonymous, somebody like that others would think is a nobody, and they would just they would travel that way, kind of like in disguise.
East Tibet, that do Kembo Shanga say at the Korabe Kepachemboro. Telatine, Jamon Bochekine, Chitan and Kembo Yaksho, Jitano cheese, love your serva. Telanitine for San Kami, Yayunitine for a Pongo, Chintin, Yalavan is Dupila.
So Kyoba Rambuche, love you,
Marima, Dumjong.
Chamun, so.
Do Jamgon Ketine, Dan Kembo Shanga,
did that touch it on? Chung Sang Rambuche. So they didn't say Mama. Okay, so one of the Drikung holinesses, one of the Chamban Drikung Chambans, in the past, he wanted to invite. There was, like the greatest. There was this one Kempo Shanga, and he was a really, really renowned scholar, like the best Kempo in the land. He was from Kham, and so
they asked to him.
So the holiness invited him.
No, they asked him, so he sent me the best Kempo.
He asked him to send his best Kempo to Drikung Til.
The Kempo, the best Kempo, the Kempo,
and so he sent the best Kempo, but that Kempo arrived like a beggar. to Dragungtio.
Not on the way, just he
And on
showing
the
this
way.
beggar. Even though he was there and arrived in the holiness courtyard, so then, may I can see the holiness. So then the attendants, yeah, okay, where come from, and so on. So then, I this monastery. So then holiness understand. So then just more monks line up quickly, But then everybody thinking just he's beggar. Okay, so now we finish, right? Or
So there are a couple questions when we have time.
okay.
Yeah. So a little while ago, Javier was asking, said, Dear Drupan, how do I combine being able to have urgency for the limited time, but not forcing myself too much in the practice, and the need to see the result of the practice to know that if I am advancing and taking advantage of the limited time, if I also have to go to want to have results. So I can read it again. Can you read it again?
Maybe read it again.
Yeah, that's fine. Dear Drupan, how do I combine being able to
limit the time, right? He said limit time.
Yeah, so I think it's like to combine the urgency of the how do I combine being able to have that urgency for limited time?
So gain sana din na tangpo din na de do to thola thangya yo mare din yang din na de milurum pochela sopa, right?
So not forcing myself too much in practice.
So the nune din na de yang penang ninjung yo ba din yang nune din na do to thola droya yo mare di yang di pena ninjun din rada wo che yena yang pena utsu che da ma chene ki balance trawo kande tango kare.
And the need to see the result of that practice to know if I'm advancing, but at the same time taking advantage of my limited time. So it's like a balance, talking about balancing those different elements.
Dini yang pena samsam la rewa da wo che gerwa pena dina nyamlen di ki yang drebu tang ni ki sambada wo lep kare dini di yang tesa pena malaria ki chidu yena yang di pena dutu yang tola matang di dutu yang yapu petu chewa kain sene chikchina di dang o nga drebu yongo sambadang tesa drawa yorwa di chondu kuya.
Yina yang da yatang tanda di terwa ngaso zondu te zamgoya hyure sting yina yang da zo gulong da woji samno tambi na ji ke chenbo bena cha shawi na chendele yang jibo tang chima la jibo sena de tindi ji kimya kintrebe tonya la ji ke chenbo yimba na woji ha ko wi na tindi jejina ko force and doji tindi da force one of chagi samari is ji na ke chenbo yin zamba no ji bena cha shawi na ngaso the motivation to catch him when said the person that the parila such a Shimbaji cham rogo and was some motivation piece yabo you recall when it's in a Kaleo or Pesha Tango Chechina Kangi Mambo you cigarette in a motivation to Chibo use a big what is afford Chiala Keo Pesha Dayala Kehira Mari to Zodayala Kehira Yomarwa. Tindi in the teak soon the epidemic on which would catch a boy or Sambina, and the go force one of Chagi or somebody.
So we're for those of you on Zoom, in case you didn't hear it, we're answering Javier's question. So he said, really in regard to this question about balance and discipline and like how much sort of discipline or diligence and how, like maybe not forcing too much. So mainly like, it's really important to inspire diligence to practice, but the most important thing is the motivation. and it is, so you don't, obviously, if there's some friction there, if there's too much force or effort. But that sort of feeling like there is an overextension or the pushing, the efforting and pushing that feels out of balance like that is actually the flaw is in the motivation. Because if you really enjoy practice, if there's the understanding, of the importance, if it's really deep, this sort of true inspiration to dedicate yourself in practice, because time is limited, life is short, and there's this motivation that comes from that deep understanding, then it becomes, it's like this, for instance. Think about when we decide to go on vacation somewhere. So if you decide to go on vacation, actually, the truth of the matter is that is like a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. You have spend a lot of money. You have to take airplanes. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of, there's a lot of annoying things, difficult things involved in going on vacation. It's a real effort. It's not necessarily, something that is just very easeful. But we have this concept, I'm going on vacation. I'm going to go enjoy myself on vacation. And so therefore, there's no problem. The effort is no problem. Spending the money isn't a problem. Making the journey isn't a problem, because this attitude in the mind is saying, the motivation is, we want to go on vacation. We're enjoying the vacation, right? So if there's that kind of attitude with practice, then it becomes a very different thing. Practice is way better than a vacation.
So there's a couple other questions.
With another thing, 지금 drive 되라고 expecting me kind of 말이스, expecting 지공 말이스. 이나 drive top 아마도 그 냠내치다 말이스. 냠내치비나 그 drive 고람나 top 고sam나리, top 고sam나리, 그 top 그러와. 이나 디코 가짜디 가르스나 냠내치 말이 되라리 되어레스.
So, and then regarding the part about the expectation of result, or having expectations around results. So, whether or not you experience results has to do with practice. So if you practice, you'll experience results. If you don't practice, you won't experience results, regardless of the expectation. Expectation doesn't help you get any results, and not having expectations won't prevent you from not getting results. So if you practice, you will experience results, and that's really what it comes down to. So it depends on whether and how much you practice.
Sangha member kaki kono kensen nagu yore, shindogu yore, ina yang koji. Choji rita korangone ji res chi goya nyamne chia mejo ono riti ina yang korang nyamne chi doa, nyamne chi omja chi togu doa. Kongone chi na kalaya bosa togu yo mare nagu yore, higu yore ina yang kontiru do tongro doa. Teni korang kunon kota nga higu do chuchi kote de keches chi mendo zom zin. 그래서 가세요 나한테 주치도 건데요 통도 통도 스테인데 대잠지까지 요사 말했어.
So there was a Sangha member who had cancer, and he was really, really motivated to practice, to use every bit of his time remaining for practice. And there was just no question, the motivation was so fully there. And on the one hand, you would think, okay, he had cancer, so maybe he would have wanted to just rest. But actually it was what was most inspiring to him at that time was to practice. And he couldn't even take food properly. He couldn't, even when he got to the point where he was no longer eating, he still had, that very strong intention, that very strong motivation. And as a result, of that motivation and his diligence in practice, he got results, even in such a crucial, at that time of being so ill.
Was able to practice what in
And he was able to practice. Often when one is sick, it's not so easy to practice. But
they can be able to practice.
They were able to practice.
Okay.
So Melanie has a question. This is in regards to humility. And so she said, if people truly know something, but then they say maybe, when they actually mean yes, doesn't that bring ambiguity to the conversation? How can you tell from a true yes versus a true maybe? I get the humility aspect, but doesn't misunderstand.
It's like, okay, you don't
bring
know,
more
I'll ask someone else.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like what actually Ralph said the other day when Kimbo was making the Lama was making tormas, and he was like, I don't know, I don't really know. And Ralph said, when he first heard that from a Lama, he was like, what am I doing here if this guy doesn't know anything? So, it's that sort of, anyway, I just felt to say, but Kako Yorua, Penamogi, Garci, O, Nga, Chi, Yapo Hakona, Hini Nga Hako Gumandu, Lapna, Dini, or Chichina Hako Gio, Lapna, Dini Mishimba Yang Churang Hako Giona Mena Gande Hako Gere, Dini Yang the Tessa Kable couple Mareve, Pena Yang O Churang Shegioreve, Shegiona Mena Hamagona, Dini Kaporoa.
That theatre, Karsana theory. Penaleka Lena, Leka Legi or is the John Travaji Tangre, Speciana. Travaji Dona Haku, Labu, or Haku me in a yarn, the Dori Lamna, that answer Hagua. Tirana Yikia, Churan the Hingi Labu, or Chekina Hingi or Marina, that Jiktashi go no Lana, Teneko showing and to catching English.
So if, if for instance, somebody asks, if somebody knows something, and then they can say, oh, maybe, or not really. But if in particular, they're asking, if somebody is skilled in something or if they know how to do something, then they can say, well, no, not really, or I can try. But then their actions will reveal the level of their skill.
Confusing child in the Yoris, Benachavi, not in the Europe, I don't remember exactly. The Nicola Magic, the Chuang, Combatina, Kimbo, Nata Karina, Yaksho, Gitanrochi, Slavio Sarwa, the Lamatikia, Slavio Sarwa, the Koran, Yavio Sarwa, the Koran Libutin, the Colo Dutin, or kind of Marita. La mica son tanga hin mare and Lavio Sarawa. Tineco Condorosa, Chuzo Watchon Kibi, Tawa Yagaji, Lama Yagaji, Tan Lavio in a chondi, Hayan Hingim those Lavio.
So this is just like such a cultural difference, this one. But he said, actually it did happen. It is difficult because in Europe, there was a Dharma center and they asked, the head of the monastery to send like a really good Kempo, to the center in Europe to teach there. And so there was a Kempo who was sent, but the Kempo was like very, very humble. And so he was always saying like, I don't really know anything. The Lama sent the Kempo. So he was like, oh, the Lama just sent me here, but I don't have any qualities. I don't have any skills. I don't know anything. And so the people, the organizers of the center got really angry. They were like, why did you send us somebody who doesn't know anything? He's always saying he doesn't know anything, so it's so then the Lama said, don't worry. So the Lama told, sort of encouraged the organizers and said, don't worry, like you will get what you need from this Kempo.
It's like I had a friend who her mother was a teacher, and on her days off at home, we would ask her like questions about school, and she'd be like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. So I was like, well, your mom's a teacher, like how does she not know? But then my friend would be like, well, that's her polite way of saying, leave me alone, I'm not ready to teach. So it's something similar to that.
Thank you.
Like they know it, but maybe they're too busy or it's not a good time. And so when she would say, I don't know, it would be her way of saying, leave me alone, but politely.
Ina yang ko da di ngarang sam na chung chen bu yo ma le sam ko. Kale kale ha ko lo wa. Immediately the way that this cover wa. Ina henge je la twa ko hyon kari na ko hege me la gre na len ja gro wa. Ina I don't know se na ko sam hyag ma wa the yo ma le henge je ina.
He thinks though that the cultural kind of disconnect isn't, or the misunderstanding there is not such a big deal because actually, you know, even though like immediately there may be initially a misunderstanding, like little by little, people will start to understand. So it's not just like, you know, somebody who knows is like, oh, I don't know, and they leave it at that, you know, but then gradually, you know, it becomes evident, you know.
Right, but also this the us. So mainly this the scholar, this I don't know, just completely not rigid. I don't
He doesn't
know,
reject,
but you know,
but I will try.
Right. So that is there is connections. So some really don't know, that don't know. That's it. So just there are no connections, you know. Or somebody complete lie or whatever that says, I don't know, then just not try to the answer. So not like that. So they do play, you know, I don't know, but they give the answer.
They still offer something.
Right.
Drupan, may I ask a question?
Sure.
In my past, it sometimes seems to be the case that with some Dharma teachers also do not respond to the first request for a teaching. Is that part of this too?
Yeah, I think this maybe the teacher sees able to see the further.
They understand maybe it's not the right time or something?
Or right time, or the later on, or so this maybe answer is coming later, or yeah. So there's many ways, you know. Sometimes not directly answer.
Maybe the teacher wants to know that the student is serious.
Right. Yeah. There's I think many difference. I think
There are many different possibilities.
Yeah, but also same thing. This Lama is every Lama is understanding 100%. Sometimes they don't know. That's true, you know. So
thank you.
So there's a couple more questions. Is that okay?
Okay.
So this one's from Michael. He says, in retrospect, it's very easy for me to want to reduce afflictions. For example, looking back at how I was angry yesterday, I can easily feel regret and sincerely wish to reduce that affliction. The trouble is, in the moment that I actually feel angry or lust, in those moments, I don't sincerely wish to reduce the affliction. I may know intellectually that these afflictions lead to more suffering, but that intellectual understanding is feeble compared to my feeling of being justified in my anger, my desire, etc. So the question is, how do you work with afflictions in the moment they're most intense?
Kingtonge penatenda jela juba chegerawa inyang chewe cup la pe shuk chimpo yona teni pena juba chegamarawa kain sina o nga
Easy Lama
juice.
stuff here. Easy or this.
Did something about easy in there?
No.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think so.
Yeah.
I mean, he's saying in retrospect, it's easy. Well,
In retrospect, it's easier.
easy to say, oh, yeah. I
Pena
don't wanna go there.
jela
When you're in it,
di
you're in
yapo yung nga yapo chema song samla yapo le lapo rewa
That was my-
inyang chewe cup la tenda de yang kale
Kale
kapo yorwa chune le lapo yomare.
In that little yo mariste, little yo maris.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Tama issue terwa.
We all have that issue.
In the love, probably love do. kepa tang lumbo seya jigla ko ine korani kepa kari yorlamna jil hiengos tengam samato jikwains
Mhm. Wait, got it?
tengam samato we
Din.
kepa tang lumbo wa tela kepa kari yore tengam sigi yores mato jikwares
Okay. So dimba.
tengam
I don't know that word.
kepa lumbo yo hare kabo
Yeah, hakoson.
kari distinguishing kepa lumbo seya tela tene ko te hakomago teres tambo hakomago who's first hakomago first hakongentela tene kepares jeli hakongente lumbo chade yores tanga so te tambo hakoya this kabo mo soya kabo ale kabores.
So I guess there is actually a saying that pertains to this, that is that the difference between like someone who is really wise and someone who is kind of dull is the speed at which they realize. So meaning that one who is like the dull
They
person,
know
they both know afterwards, right?
But the time.
They both come to know, but then the time, the speed or the
duration, yeah.
the time period at which they become aware is different. So the why, but we didn't finish, but he said the wise person knows more quickly the awareness is there, and the more dull person only realizes in retrospect. And so it really comes down to building mindful awareness. So when there's the strength of mindful awareness is really developed, then more quickly the affliction is recognized as an affliction, when it arises more and more immediately until it's really like even immediately upon arising. But having regret in retrospect is really positive as well, because then if you feel that regret, then it goes toward the power of overall reducing the afflictive emotions.
Afflictive emotion ko reduce chiala pentogres.
So it benefits to reduce the afflictive emotions that haven't arisen yet. That upcoming, is that what you meant? Yeah, the upcoming afflictive emotions.
So Claudia was asking, this is following up with the maybe conversation. She wants to know, would it be a lie if you say you don't know when you really know?
This is usually the part of the lie. His question.
Yes, could it be a lie or would it be a lie if you say I don't know when you really know? So I think it's following up on the conversation from before.
No, it's not a lie.
Because karsena zoga so chuchi yala negative positive yorwa. Tela karsena really focus. Karsena ko maso dangzi siya paya tela. Dangzi paya tap kandiji yu wina tela ko positive chabi yoris gewe kichor. That dangzi show cheren rowe kabla that ko negative migewe chocha rowa. Tin tanda tela ko ji dangzi ti ma show chong the tan ro kabla tin ko line do chagu samaris.
Because that, like, if we talk about lying, for instance, which is an inherently like the idea of a lie is that it's non-virtue, and dharma is really, we have to sort of discriminate between what is the positive and negative, or wholesome and unwholesome. And so what is the objective, the goal of our dharma practice is to overcome the mind of self-grasping, to diminish the self-grasping attitude. And so anything that supports the diminishment of self-grasping is a positive thing. So it can't become a negative thing. So we couldn't, if by saying, we don't know something in order to kind of bring down that sort of self-grasping arrogance, then that can't become like a negative lie.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Very clear. Thank you.
그가 나이 당가 지당래가 칼리나 마차바. 마당바 마차 마당. 용몽바 미나 개와인라고 그러와.
And essentially, what is the definition of wholesome or virtuous? It means that whatever we do, when it is motivated by non-attachment, non-aversion, when it is not bound up with attachment and aversion, then that is wholesome.
Okay, so then. 강실 속주 지바당 전제 책이 마와 단지 간데나 마진래 드네 현재 충마 달라 로 그래서 메강주 바초와에 동화지 수주 지바 전남 지간데니도 당께서와 주버치스 가이지의 태달라 딕주 마담 해체네 도탕 주바 임버주 유랭트네 도민조스.
Which one?
That's one.
So the Chosum. Okay. Whoever takes the life of another. Did we do that one?
No.
We didn't do the one above that, did we?
Yes.
We did.
No, not 11.
Didn't the talk to?
Okay. 大的 藏出瓦堂穷密卡萨没把堂 大个做瓦拉多比我才讲了
But life is difficult for the principled who wish to, we did read that, who wish to live simply, for the quiet and the faultless, those who seek to live purely. Whoever takes the life of another, who speaks with lying words, who takes what is not given, who wanders to another's spouse, who drinks to drunkenness.
Okay, maybe this the first one.
Okay, actually, we're going to do the first one first.
Yeah. 지당 오차 세야지. 치유와 세야지 거래스. 랑오네 그래서 랑오네 오차와 행오네 치유와 세야지 거래스.
So there are these two words in Tibetan. One is ngotsa, and the other is treyopa. And sometimes these are both translated as shame. But if you think about it, like sort of literally speaking, ngotsa is more like, it actually really literally means...
Maybe I opposite. Or 행운의 ngotsa, 랑운의 치유와.
But ngotsa means literally hot face, like your face is getting red, right? You're embarrassed. So sometimes that is translated as embarrassed. And treyopa, there's not such a literal translation available there, but that's maybe more like shame, because it really is. So what it is ngotsa, or embarrassment, is, but some, like as I said, it's often translated as shame, and it has to do with like how you witnessing yourself, and feeling kind of. Or not you witnessing yourself, the other way around. I'm sorry. We got them mixed up at first. It has to do with other people seeing you. And if other people see you behave badly, then you feel embarrassed. But the other one, which is also translated as shame often, has to do with how you witnessing yourself and feeling ashamed of that.
Tanga he careless no mara motor the china yapomare mutona yaboing samares and megachina mutona yaboing samares sama. Tini you not in the rangala sabzat chigro in a ranchibu tonda some masamin or that you make move tona yabomedo samate motsavarawa. Tine 다 영어 랑을 다네 오다 나랑 메기와 치기도 나 야보면도 내 텔레카 치주면도 삼노밤 랑라 치고 와서
I wish we had another word besides shame, though, because these are actually healthy qualities in Tibetan to have. They're both positive because they direct us towards the wholesome. So even the feeling of being, having that sense of kind of being embarrassed, in front of others, because if we're really careless, if we feel like, oh, I don't want to be careless because if people see how embarrassing that would be, and so then you're careful when the carefulness has to do around like not wanting others to see you behave badly, then that is the sort of inner wisdom that knows, that those actions that are negative, that are bad, are to be avoided. And so even though it's connected with being embarrassed if others see you, it still helps you to kind of go in the direction of good activity. So it is still it's a good quality. I just did Ngotsawa, Tata.
No, both.
Oh, both of them. Both
Okay.
of them.
모차네 현지 보존의 definition 되게 말해서 모차라고.
So when you with the Ngotsa, then it's like, oh, if people see me, I'm embarrassed.
Right. 근데 랑에서 노당나 원가 되니치고 doesn't matter 무시리 통요나라 통메 대상 땅바고. 니에메게와 지난 되기면도 사마텔라 티오발라.
And Te Yopa is, it doesn't matter if people see or they don't see. It's like, if I know I did that, I
don't want to create
negativities. Yeah.
So that's two separated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 다 되네 휴라 데리다 대인 사람 얘기와 같이 대인서다 데려 자와 시티에 있다 다 고로 참하고 그래서
wait, Yongcha? Gotta so much.
자와 해도 자와 해 조주와 마지원에 마다 대마로.
Oh, okay. So then the next verse is talking about essentially like the 4 kind of root non-virtues that we're all familiar with, right? Like taking the life of another, speaking false words, speaking with lying words, taking what is not given, stealing, and wandering to like others' spouses, or being
Did you read those?
Yeah, so we read it. And then the next one we didn't read. Should I read the next one? So we all know that we're familiar with those. And one who drinks to drunkenness, which leads to dissipation, and this very lifetime accomplishes self-destruction. Look at the undisciplined, those who are intemperate. Take care lest desire and worldliness introduce you to long suffering.
어떤 대인도 다 좋은 것좀 데리다 아직 이게와 방고그레 세야 들다 직 뭐뭐 연구요와 지금 아주 배나 미게와 방고스 미게와 줄라서 바이오레 드네 디가나 이케지 다 아주 동발레 요러와 동발레 제부 동발레 세야다 게추노 동발레 세야다 고직 뭐고 직 요레스 이나야 단디나라 고자와 해당 예랑 생각이나 다 자와 루트로 차리요.
And so this has to do, with the practice of discipline, as like abandoning the unwholesome, guarding against the unwholesome, and there are many ways, like, so for instance, we have many vows that can be taken, many practices of restraint, the most basic being, kind of practicing restraint in terms of the 10 non-virtues, and then there's like the refuge vows, and then the other kind of like the different levels of, for instance, ordination, temporary ordination, or a kind of longer term ordination, novice, and full ordination, and all of that. There are all these different levels of vows, but all of the vows, all of the practices of maintaining discipline or restraint restraint, the most important of these, really is condensed within these 4 root vows together with the branch. So the 4 root vows being these 4 that were mentioned, and also the branch vow of abstaining from intoxication, not becoming intoxicated.
That is a branch of the Choji did that in on Kotsawa Yena Siduko Zawa Hena Yiki ko Dipa Yomaris, Wakotis, Yelanda Woji, Induko, this Chungana Woji, that never Chungana Woji, Yoris, Patana.
But sometimes we think of it as like, oh, there's the 4 vows and then the branch vows, the branch vow, and we think that somehow actually the branch vow means it's less important. Like it's less, that because it's a branch vow.
Yina Yadati ko race in a dakoji this toji Bechang Tonga Seate, Koji Tonga Zamji, Koda Tindijega ko. So in Chitarwa, in a coaching, Bena Manda Carrier Serena, Bena Magic Sword Jibat, Bena Glass Wonder, which could be different. It's the Kodila Koran comparing Chayomaris, so in particular.
So, in one way, there is some truth to that, and that, if you think about it, like just drinking alcohol is, for instance, if you compare like killing someone, then obviously, if you kill someone and then between killing someone and having a few glasses of wine, like definitely having the wine is not as bad.
Yina Yata was a telezola. Kitong Tomaton Kesha Maris, Sinako, that could send Roya Chivicala. That goes somebody on channel. That thing that can be Kaznada story Mongo Yorwa. Zawali could never cheer on those cigarettes, soon what you use. Tiana Yiko, Yamena, Tuya Pelatene, Zawahi Chatan, cheese cigarettes. He did Koda, Zawa Heli could deposit for soldier, so Jigos or Chita that he had Kumaja Yoma.
So, but on the other hand, that branch vow in some cases and in many ways is even more important than the others because, and it isn't about like drinking or not drinking, it's about becoming drunk or becoming intoxicated and the mind becoming unstable and losing your ability to be kind of in control and the stability of the mind being affected. And there are many stories that exemplify how that branch vow can actually end up leading to then, by breaking that branch vow can lead to engaging in all of the 4 root transgressions and even worse. So really it is mainly about, not becoming intoxicated, because when one is intoxicated, then it can lead to all sorts of negativities. They just kind of pile on, and it is, in dependence upon that branch vow. Sometimes, the root vows are then also transgressed, and sometimes even worse. There are so many people who have done, really terrible things because they have been intoxicated. Got it. Yeah, for my way.
Madam Hijabi,
Drupan,
yeah.
can I share something about that?
Okay.
This is a statistic from the FBI crime labs. They say 15% of robberies, 63% of intimate partner violence, 37% of sexual assaults, and 45% of physical assaults, 50% of homicides involved alcohol.
Yeah, so that's Buddha knows before those things.
He had those statistics before.
So that's why he. Yeah, long time ago. So he. Right, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Thank you, James. That's really actually really good. Yeah, to know.
Okay, that's the last one. Read them and stuff.
Okay, so then the last one.
I think you did already.
Yeah. So we did already read it, but the last one. Oh,
you did already?
I did. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Do you want to explain?
What in that and confuse na ye that what the fake le karina ya this consemboya the kitchen body
So in brief, and also that last verse is really again emphasizing the importance of practicing restraint when it comes to, you know, refraining from negativity.
Oh, yeah, there are questions.
No.
Okay.
Just a quick question. How does one in the real world differentiate the difference someone who really does not know and someone who's being humble? Maybe somebody really does not know, and the person saying, well, you're just being humble, I'm gonna let you do it, and you don't. I mean,
Pena ngaso de jitin la nang la de pena metik o nga shegimendo la na o chichina kongso nyom chung chegio sare samna yini ang kongso nune ha magona tene okay kongso lega trena tene kongso ha magona tene yang chun la sigirwa so gande ha gobere.
Ita ko tangi la imba. Tak ngone mahama ko this. Ko de 쭉 체중이랑 학고음이 랑나 어디 스탑 놓치고 학고음이 놀라 버려. 근데 단기 듣고 학고는 학고음이 라야트 디스코 hard soft 니고 기체바요 사리섬.
So I'm not sure I totally got this, but he said there's a difference. Like somebody who really doesn't know, there will be a hard stop, like I don't know, right?
Yes.
And then somebody
confident, you know,
like confident that they don't know.
right.
And then somebody who does know.
They're kind of surprised. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So it's the tone.
The tone. Yeah.
Right. So they just figure out whatever. So.
Okay. So we'll do the dedication prayers on page 24. The bottom of the page. By the virtues collected in the three times, by myself and all beings and samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Jagumba Ratna Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dhamma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lama. Gracias, Soldi. Feliz domingo.
Thank you, Zoldi.
Sí, mi amor.